Yeah, that's it. You just tuned in to the Digital Cartridge Podcast with Sean and Micah. Listen up as they deliver you the most epic show covering movies, television, video games, and wrestling. And now, here's Sean and Micah.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
Pass the gravy.
Ooh, what kind of gravy do you like? Do you like white gravy or brown gravy?
It depends on what I'm eating. If it's biscuits, then I want white. If it's mash, then I want brown.
Yeah, so when I just moved a couple weeks ago, I had some friends. I don't like biscuits and gravy. It's nothing I've ever been like, man, let me have some biscuits and gravy for breakfast. It's not what I want. And they hounded on me like the whole freaking weekend that I moved about just not liking gravy. I'm just like, it's just not my thing. So we ended up going to Cracker Barrel that Sunday, ended up ordering biscuits and gravy, and it reminded me how much I just disliked it in general.
So biscuits and gravy have been like, I never was into it as a kid, but like since I've gotten older, I've like, that's all I want anymore.
Like, the brown gravy on mashed potatoes, that's like, that works hand in hand, but like biscuits and gravy, with like the sausage in it or whatever, it's just, I don't fuck with it, maybe if I'm in a hotel and traveling, that's the only thing they have on their continental breakfast. Sure. But no, it's nothing I'm gonna pick off a menu ever.
I want to talk about continental breakfast is how continental is fucking waffles, because every freaking continental breakfast has some damn waffles and some Fruit Loops.
Well, maybe they should start shaping the waffles like continents. Would that make it continental?
They could play it off. They're not even listed as Belgium waffles. They're just waffles.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'd pick those waffles, but sometimes it's funny because each one of them has a waffle maker, but the batter is never the same. It's like they make their own little homemade batter in the back to, shave off, 50 cents here or whatnot.
So when we went to Lexington a couple weeks ago, whenever we played Mega Man and I got stuck in the hotel, that hotel had they had cinnamon roll batter for the waffles, and that was fucking amazing.
That's interesting. I mean, I've gone to places where sometimes it's nice and thick, or sometimes it's just almost like water substance coming out. But in the end, it still makes some type of a waffle. I can't really, say what that mixture is, but it turns into a waffle-like substance.
And if you want it nice and thick, check out no, just kidding.
And for the record, I'm Sean, one of your hosts, and
hey guys, I'm Micah.
So if you've stumbled across this podcast, if you've been here before, you know that we cover all types of stuff, and it's our movie segment week. And before we get too deep into this, we are covering the movie Son-in-Law.
What's Pauly Shore's catchphrase?
Which one?
Oh, Wheezing the Jews. No, not that. That's the wrong movie.
Yeah, I mean, but it's funny because I looked up, the top 10 Pauly Shore movies way after we even agreed to do Pauly Shore, because of the Thanksgiving theme. This drops 2 days before Thanksgiving. So maybe you're sitting at, Thanksgiving dinner, and this is what you'll be listening to, while you're not listening to your parents or whatnot. But this is considered the top number one Pauly Shore movies. And, people are going to be like, Pauly Shore's not great. But before I get even, into a tangent, let me just express this. I'd rather watch a Pauly Shore movie before I'd watch a Rob Schneider film.
Yeah, I'll agree with that one. I'm good with that statement.
Yeah, so that's, take me to the stake with the pitchfork or whatnot, but that's the way it is. If you want to go, in classes of movies, you can go down these lists of like Son-in-Law, Encino Man, Biodome, In the Army Now. They might, be Pauly Shore movies because they might be, annoying to some people, but there's 4 decent, good comedy movies, from the 90s. So take it, what it is. I can't say that any Rob Schneider films are, just like, ooh, I'm going to go see a Rob Schneider film. You put both in front of me, it's Pauly all day. I know we've done a lot in the last couple weeks since our last recording. It's been busy for you and I. I've met up with Mike Lanham, of No Mercy fame, more, twice in the last 2 weeks since we've gone. Actually, 3 times you really count it. We went to the AEW taping that was here, which was a blast. And we also went to go see the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which was amazing. And we also stood out the back door waiting to see if we get some autographs at the end. I didn't have anything of, value for him to sign, or whatnot. And I know Mike and his buddy, they had some Funko Pops from the Blunt Man and Chronic, and they also had a picture that they had taken with Jason Mewes as well. Well, me and Mike, we didn't get the autographs because we didn't really just, follow them around like lost puppies, I guess, like we should have. Immediately we went out the door to smoke a cigarette. But all I had was a copy of Super Mario Brothers 2 in my car, of all things. And I was going to get him to sign it, kind of like when Mike Jones signed that copy of Star Tropics, and it went all over the internet. So, but, like I said, I met him up with the AEW. We did the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. And then you, me, and him both head off all the way to meet up at Experience Grind headquarters to do the 24-hour Extra Life charity stream.
Yeah, and that show was a lot of fun. It was fucking, I told you when we were leaving, like, it never fails, because this is the third year I've went, and it never fails that it seems to go by so fast. Like, a blink of the eye.
I mean, I know there was a pile of games that Mike had brought, they was wanting to play, and, that didn't get done. I think there was many other games they even talked about that, nobody played. But I know when we started playing some Jackbox games, that takes up hours of time in general.
Yeah, and like, it was a lot better than the previous 2 years, because me and you and Mike went up and stayed the night before, and then like Sean Muldowney flew in from Sean from Nerdy Thursday flew in, and so we all crashed at sound engineer Andrew's house. Which, by the way, thank you, Andrew, if you're listening. I hope you enjoyed that exclusive digital cartridge podcast baseball hat.
Yeah, and I gave him, some of those once in a lifetime only stickers that would cut only for the stream.
So that made it a lot easier because we were there when it started. So we were both there a lot longer than I've been in the last 2 years, because by the time I drive up and then different time zones and everything, I don't ever get to stay as long as I want. But we had a good time, and we raised a shit ton of money.
I like money. How much money did we actually raise? Because I know, like, it was a set amount beforehand, and then, once we started recording, so many of us had donation accounts open that it just started flowing in left and right.
Yeah. So first year, we raised a little over $1,700. Second year, we raised almost $2,100, and then this year, we did $3,431 as of right now. And the cool part about that is me and you combined, so you can say Team Digital Cartridge, we raised 825 of that total just between the two of us.
Nice. I mean, we're not swinging our nuts anywhere, but we're just saying that we helped out. We did for the kids.
FTK for the kids. Yeah, we pulled our weight. But the really cool part for me is, like we talked about in last episode, like, I'm super competitive. And so what I tell you earlier, like 5,100 teams registered with Extra Life or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Most
and
definitely.
Out of those 5,100 teams, we are right in the top 400. Like, we're 407. So close enough it counts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of, one-person teams out there, too. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. A team is a team. It doesn't matter if you got 100 people, 10 people, 1 people. Doing it for the kids, like Trick Daddy. Do it for the kids.
So that was really cool. And then getting to see everybody, because we got to see Brooks. We got to see Kyle Pertleball. We got to see, of course, like you said, we got to see Mike. We got to hang out with him Friday night also and go downtown and watch like 3 or 4 different fights almost happen. And then we got to see Casey Reuter. And then, am I missing anybody?
That's Baby Beard Casey, for the record. Nah, but he's got a very exquisite beard. His is very majestic.
I think that's everybody. I don't know that I'm trying to think if I missed anybody.
If we did, we're sorry. We didn't put your name in, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We still love you.
Always and forever.
Yeah, but thank you, Kyle and Ryan, for your great hospitality at your house. It was amazing. I know you're trying to change up some things for next year, possibly. So, we're always there, to help and, see what changes around for that.
Yeah, and I think some of the suggestions that have already been made are gonna make a huge difference. And make it to where we can be around a lot more for it, which will be nice. So anybody who is new to our show, just stumbled across us and is curious as to what Battlemania is, that is a recurring segment that myself and Sean have every episode where we pit two different things against each other and put the poll up on Facebook and allow our listeners and people who have liked our Facebook page to actually go in and vote and tell us which one they prefer. First set of episodes we did song battles. Now we're into food battles. And last episode we did our favorite soda. And since you won, you want to go ahead and tell everybody what you picked that one?
Yeah, and it wasn't even really a big crowd favorite. I think I kind of got, shunned, about this because I picked Wild Cherry Pepsi and, over, I guess, Cherry Coke or whatever. Here's the thing. I remember way back, way back, probably like 96. No, this had been before 96. I was young. And there used to be a farm team called the Memphis Chicks back then. And they had the Pepsi Challenge. And it's where they would just literally put a shot of Coke and a shot of Pepsi out. And you'd have to tell them, which one's Pepsi, which one's Coke. And you get like a little card, kind of like the kids sell that, you can get a discount like pizzas here and stuff like that. And I probably had a stack of these. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to ever get them. But maybe back then I just learned to have like that little bit of that zest that Pepsi has over Coke sometimes.
So, and my choice that lost was Fanta orange soda.
Yeah, and you stood up to it. I saw you drinking some Fanta the other day, so you stayed true to what you voted for, even though you got that L.
Yeah, it's because I'm out on caffeine. I mean, I've kicked it and I'm good. But we had a total of 80 votes, and of those 80 votes, you had 47 of them, which gave you 59% of the vote.
Yeah. So get that crown back. Maybe one day I'll wear the belt. Who the true champion is. But it just feels good to be a winner again. Can't be a loser like you there, Micah.
So you want to go ahead and tell everybody what we're doing for the next poll and see what you're going to win with again, because I have a feeling that I'm not going to win with my choice now.
I mean, you just feel down on. Don't feel down on yourself, buddy. I mean, this is the time for thanks, and it's also the time for giving. And so we chose what better in the food situations than to pick your Thanksgiving side dish. What's your side piece for Thanksgiving? And this is something that my family members definitely know well about me. Is mine's green bean casserole. I am the pickiest motherfucker when it comes down to it, and I will straight up tell you, if you come to Thanksgiving like potluck style and bring your own green bean casserole and it tastes like shit, if it's creamy and like runny, I'm gonna call you the fuck out. That's just the way it is.
So my thing with Thanksgiving and my choice is macaroni and cheese. And you've got to come correct with the macaroni and cheese, and it's got to be the cheesiest macaroni and cheese possible.
So you wanted to make it sound like you're stirring up mac and cheese. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I'm stirring that pot.
Stirring up that mac and cheese.
I want that cheesy. Like, I want that. If you really want to get it, if you really want to get in my pants, make it shells and cheese.
I just made some creamy shells and chicken bake the other day.
Those Velveeta bakes that have the pre-pasta in them. Going off on a tangent here, but those are real good.
I like making my own. I mean, that's been my thing. Like, I hated Kraft mac and cheese in the box when I was a kid. Like, it made me despise mac and cheese. So, like, anytime I'd go out to eat with somebody, like, what's your sides? I never picked mac and cheese just because I was ruined as a kid, because that box with that powdered cheese, garbage. I mean,
garbage. No, that's not good. It's got to be Velveeta, like the Velveeta mac and cheese, and these things I'm talking about. So like you get like the Chef Boyardee, like the beef stroganoff and that kind of bullshit, like those little boxes.
Yeah,
they make Velveeta brand ones that are real good.
Nice.
So anyways, Battle Mania, like I said, is a poll that we put up on our Facebook page. So all you have to do, if you're not already one of the 1,142 people that like our Facebook page, just go on to Facebook, search for Digital Cartridge Podcast. The Battle Mania poll always drops on Wednesday afternoon after the episode drops on the Tuesday. And we let you guys vote for 5 days. Tell us which choice you prefer. And then if you have a different choice, you're always free to sound off in the comments or give us shit over our choices, which happens pretty regularly.
Here's one thing. In our Battle Mania post, since it's Thanksgiving and since you're going to be around these two side dishes, take a picture. And not only vote, but take a picture and put them in the comments and let us see what your mac and cheese looks like that you're eating, or your green bean casserole. And we'll also vote on that too as well. Like from our side, we're going to be like, oh man, I like the way that green bean casserole looks. Or hey, Micah likes the way that mac and cheese looks.
Send me samples.
Yeah, send us samples, you know.
Wrap it up in a paper towel. Tell your grandma it's to go. And then just drop it in the mail to me.
Or, I mean, hell, if your Thanksgiving dinner, got an extra seat, just give me the address and I'll slide on by and, do some noms over there.
I'm always down for free food.
Oh, yeah, fat boys got to eat,
Yum.
Hey, meet me over by the water cooler. So, what's up? I gotta fill you in on what I've been watching. Oh, jeez. This may contain spoilers.
So talking about Rick and Morty, did you watch episode 2 yet?
Yeah, I watched it. I had more fun with episode 1, but episode 2 was extremely good though.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as the premiere, but I liked the whole toilet storyline.
So, do you want to make an app?
Yes, please. Especially if I'm gonna get paid off of it. Have you seen some? Do you know how much money that fucking idiot that made Flappy Bird made?
Oh, dude, that's some of these are stupid. Like when I get on Fiverr.com, they don't pay me to say that. I just want to really say it. But there's people that will help you make an app or make an app for you. And I was like, how much money do these people actually make? Because at my job, there's an app for cleaning beer lines. Like you would have to log into a location you went to and click this and that. And I know they pay the dude that just makes the app. It's $50 an hour. If you want to talk to him about any kind of issue, it's $50 an hour. I don't give a shit what it is. And I was like, how much money do people like that actually make apps truly get in? Like, on an ROI just from whatever, that's not like, licensed like Garfield Kart or Super Mario Run, but like these small no names, kind of like Flappy Bird was, and whatever else. How much money do these people make? So we're going to get a digital cartridge, app. I don't know, but whatever.
Flappy Bird guy has so much fucking money.
There just needs to be a game that's kind of like Mario Brothers, but it's you and I. Like, of course, I guess I would look more like Mario since I'm the shorter, heftier one, and you're the taller, skinnier one, so you'd be a lot more like Luigi. But, it'd be like Super Digital Cartridge Brothers or something, and we run around like breaking CDs or DVDs or something, for our Battle Manias or whatnot. I don't know. It's corny as fuck. Somebody draw it up. I don't give a shit.
Fuck that. You can put some fucking wings on me and make me fly through some tunnels. Just pay me royalties. We don't always talk too heavily in a water cooler about video games. We do sometimes. We like kind of glaze over them. But I finally finished Borderlands 3 and pushed through all of it.
Do you feel like you're a stronger man, or do you feel like you're a weaker man because of this now?
I mean, I'm glad. Ultimately, I'm glad that I finished it, especially before Sean and Ryan.
That's funny. I mean, I just hooked the Xbox back up in the den after moving like literally 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, hello, old friend. I forgot what you were about.
I've got this dope-ass gun, so you get different guns like as you level up to the higher level you get and everything, like you get different types of guns. And I got a gun right before I completed it for finishing all the side missions. Because my completionist has to go through and complete all the side missions before I complete the main story. And I got a gun that shoots other guns. Like it produces more guns.
So you got a daddy gun that makes little baby guns.
Yeah, that I can just turn around and sell for cash to turn around and buy more stuff.
That's what's up. Yeah, so I mean, you just said completionist. I think that's one thing we've never really explained, even on my end. I think we maybe made like nudges and nods to it, but like, I mean, of course, Micah, you are the completionist, and I'm the cheat. Like I instantly look, oh, is there a cheat code for this? Like, I'm like, oh, God mode, let's run with it. Where you're gonna take the way it's designed for. I'm taking the debug, I'm taking that. So like basically it's Sean the cheat and Micah the completionist.
That is our given Jedi names.
Yeah, I guess if we ever decide to do anything, it'll just be like Sean the cheat and Micah the completionist.
If we ever show up on season 2 of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, that's gonna be our names when we go in to claim our bounties.
No, we got to get through season 1 first. I mean, and that's rocking and rolling pretty much.
It's hurting me too. Like, I know I've talked about like with some of these streaming services, like I like all the episodes to drop at once. That's why I haven't started season 2 of Castle Rock yet. But I made the mistake and started Mandalorian, and now I'm hooked. So I've been watching every Friday. The new episodes drop on Friday.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is they hyped the Disney streaming service up basically around Mandalorian, and like I mentioned, I canceled my service. I was like, I grew up watching a lot of the Disney films and cartoons and stuff like that. They do zero for me now. Zero. Mandalorian's great. I have other means of watching this. I'm sorry, Disney. If you're listening to me, come at me, bro. I'm sorry. It is what it is, but I'm not going to sit around and wait and pay you $70 a year or $6.99 a month or whatever it is just to watch one show. If there was other shows right now, I might, I'll revisit it, in 6 months or whatnot when there truly is more content out there, but I can't stick around just for one episode.
Yeah, once the Marvel stuff hits, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got kids obviously at the house that, we're more than happy to watch something. I know people are, talking about watching this and watching that. Like Angelica wanted to watch Maleficent. She wants to see the second one, but I said, hey, have you seen the first one yet? She goes, no. I said, well, you obviously need to watch the first one. So I did the search in the Disney Plus, and it says it releases like October 1st, 2020. I was like, all right, I understand you have rights other places, but like at this point, just don't even show up in your query at all, or why'd you, release this out without having everything? Because I know, Netflix still has their hands on other things, and who in there's rights that are still owned and whatnot. I mean, it's good. Some people love it. It's not for me.
It's like I've picked and chosen, whatever. There's another show that I'm watching on there to kind of buy my time called The Imagineering Story, and it's like it's a behind the scenes look at them building like Walt Disney and Epcot and Tomorrowland and Hollywoodland or Hollywood Studios or whatever the fuck it's called now. Like, it's really good and has some behind the scenes stuff. But I agree with you. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that I got it for the kids so they can watch the movies, it's not worth the money right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not plugging this, but if you have Verizon Unlimited, you can get Disney Plus for a year, which is cool. But I'm an AT&T subscriber, so it is what it is. Like I said, I have other means. It's fine. I'm not butthurt about having to download one episode and put it on a hard drive because it's obviously an enjoyable flick. I'm not the biggest Star Wars nerd in the world or love it like my little brother William. This dude. They go to Disney like multiple times a year. Whenever it's Star Wars Day, they're always there. I don't give a shit which Disney it is. I mean, that's their jam. That's always been his thing. I remember him having the VHS box set back in the day. That was the shit for him. And then I think the what is it, 1, 2, and 3, the Force Awakens ones, or whatever what are the original, not the original 3, but the 3 after that was his time, when he was around. So I remember him collecting the action figures and all that. So it goes around him, but like watching Mandalorian, I mean, it fits well. Jon Favreau was smart as shit by putting this little baby Yoda in there because it's like, how am I going to, let's bring back some of the Star Wars and people are going to like this guy grittiness, feels like a Western, in Star Wars, but we're also going to bring in this cute ass little fucking baby Yoda that I don't give a shit who you are. You're going to like it.
Yeah. And they already, people were making, they're calling it baby Yoda gifts. and like Disney's already put a stop on it, like dropped the copyright ban.
Oh wow, even on like all the memes and all that shit.
Yup.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, sometime I guess maybe it was in during the Force Awakens time that Yoda was off with a little Yaddle doing his thing, and that's where this little baby came from. Or we'll eventually get the the reason and why. We can all do our speculations or whatnot, but he's a cute little bastard.
I mentioned last episode I was watching Daybreak on Netflix. I finished it.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's worth binging through and watching. Just if you were into like the zombie land kind of humor, like in a zombie apocalypse setting, it's really good. And then I ran through another show that it's okay. It's like a docu-series called the Devil Next Door. And it was about a guy who was in like the Holocaust camps, the concentration camps. He was Ivan the Terrible, and the trial that he goes through, and them trying to sentence him for the crimes committed, and yada yada.
I've had a lot of free time to watch TV as well. Even though I don't, I know you take advantage of it at work, but like I said, I've been on medical leave for a little bit, so I've just been hanging out at the house. I don't, me, I'm a movie person over TV shows, but I'm just, I've been like, man, what's on TV? Let me find something. So I was poking around Amazon Prime, and they have the Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy series 2 was up. So I was like, man, let me watch series 1. And I think there's something in my brain that says you like these military-esque TV shows. Because I remember when The Unit came out, I was deep into watching that. And I started watching this Jack Ryan, and before I knew it, I was already on season 2. And I told you, I was like, man, if you got Amazon Prime, check this out. But they are hour-long episodes, and I was just like, man, this is I liked it a lot. I'm like, where's to me to say, hey, where's season 3 at? That means it's obviously got a little bit, of interest in my mind.
Did you go see any movies or anything other than kind of catching up on TV?
Not really. I mean, that's funny that you say that, because me and Angelica, we talked about going to that AMC down in Cool Springs. We went there a couple times. We watched a couple movies, and it's such a long drive. I mean, it's probably an hour and 15 minutes just for us to go to the theater. And if we do that, I was like, hey, there's Sam's Club next door. I said, let's, if we're going to go there, we need to make a day out of it, to make it worth the drive. And I think we're actually going to cancel the AMC A list and go with the Regal setup, even though I'm not a Regal fan, but there's a Regal that's 15 minutes from here, so why not,
Ashley took the girls to watch Frozen 2, and she said it was really good. She took them Friday.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Do you want to build a snowman?
No. No, I do not.
No, it's funny. I was singing that earlier today, and Angelica was like, you ever seen Frozen? I was like, no, but I put Disney Radio on my Pandora when Brody was young, and I guess I've never deleted it. And sometimes that Frozen song will come on, and I'll catch myself singing it in the car, and I'm just like, skip.
Huh?
I'm like, if anybody saw this, I'm like, skip.
It, I mean, the first one, after I watched it 500 times, like, it's okay, but it gets old real fucking fast. And this one I conveniently was at work for, so I didn't go.
Yeah, I mean, there are some movies out there that I want to see. Obviously, Ford versus Ferrari, 21 Bridges, Black and Blue. I mean, these are some of the movies I wanted to, want to see, but unfortunately, I'm missing out on some of them. I know people have talked about this Jojo Rabbit movie being a great movie and everything else, but haven't had the chance. So, like I said, I'll probably go and see a movie once or twice before our months that we paid's up, hopefully. But Regal is obviously in our hindsights for what we're going to go use next.
So the other big thing that I'm looking forward to, and will actually start the next episode that we record. So it'll start 2 days before the episode after this one. So December 8th, for anybody who's really confused at that explanation that I just gave, because I confused myself. December 8th, Infinite Crisis on Earth.
Yeah, I like their poster kind of. It reminded me of looking at the Avengers Endgame poster a little bit, and I think everybody's they're gonna say, "Hey, you stole this," but who really had this first? I'm pretty sure it ended up by somebody else way before all this.
Fucked that up too. It's Crisis on Infinite Earths, not Infinite whatever. Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's been a long day.
Earth. EARF.
Earth. It's been a long ass day.
I'm just picturing like those memes of somebody with a long ass as you said that.
But yeah, I started. The only other thing I've started watching The Office again. I'm giving it a third go to actually try to get through it this time. So,
how far are you on that now?
Season 3, episode 4, 3 or 4.
You're doing good. You're farther than last time. That's all that matters, man. I mean, baby steps.
Yep. I made it past season 2. Casino Night's the one that did me in last time.
I can't ever say that I've watched them all in order, but I've seen them all, unfortunately, and in a random way. I don't mean to say unfortunately, but I've seen them all. I mean, it's Angelica's favorite show, and it's always on TV. But I've watched the seasons, just never in exact order. So I'm always confused when I watch them. I'm like, what season? Okay, now I know where I'm at. Type of deal.
I guess we can go ahead and jump into the only other thing that we've been watching that anybody who actually come here to listen to us talk about was here for.
Yeah, buddy.
And now, what you came here for, the main topic.
How main is this topic? It is the main of the main of the main of the main.
He's got a pretty good mane of hair.
Yeah, don't talk about hair. It makes me jealous. We're talking about the 1993 comedy / drama / romance film Son-in-Law, featuring Pauly Shore. And speaking of Pauly Shore, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, Digital Cart Pod. That's the only name I could find for us. I've been tweeting Pauly Shore almost every day leading up to this episode. Say, hey, if you give me some feedback, this, yada, yada. I was posting pictures. I did the video today of me watching this on VHS. Yes, I watched this in what is originally formatted for, I guess, in 93. I mean, DVD was just coming out or did come out or it's been out. I can't remember. But I have a 36-inch Sony Trinitron TV and a VCR. So I was like, man, let me buy this on VHS. It was like less than $5 on eBay, brand new. Popped that bitch in and got to watch it. And when I saw the tracking, as soon as you put in the VHS tape, I was like, man, you talk about nostalgia hitting you. It's something that used to probably piss you off when you were, back in those days. But boy, where have we come? When I was just watching something in 4K, minutes ago. Now I'm over here, I guess, in 240p.
Yeah, you gotta turn the tracking knobs, adjust it.
Well, luckily this one, has automatic tracking, which was nice. But I got the VCR from Goodwill, and it didn't have a remote. And I was watching it on the video out instead of like the coax cable. So I had to program a universal remote, and it took probably 3 hours today to program this damn remote to get it to go to the line output so I could watch it on the TV. So like all those times people used to bitch about setting the time on a VCR, that's cakewalk. Try figuring out how to change this motherfucker to the line out instead. That's the hard part.
So do you want to give us a walkthrough, and I can jump in with any retarded tangents that I have?
Well, this is going to be a long walkthrough. And like I said, I mentioned earlier, the top 10 Pauly Shore movies. This is, number 1. And this came out a year after Encino Man. And it was directed by Steve Rash. And he's got some other films out there. Like, I can't say the top ones, but it's always like the sequels. I mean, he did American Pie Band Camp, Bring It On, All or Nothing. He did the Buddy Holly story, which I've never seen. He did Road Trip, Beer Pong. So, I mean, this may have been his only, like, I mean, he did Eddie, Whoopi Goldberg. Nobody talks about that movie, but I've
never even heard of that movie.
What, Eddie?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's where Whoopi Goldberg becomes a coach of a basketball team.
Nope.
It was
don't have a clue.
Oh man, I can't believe you see it. I'll make you watch it one day. It's not bad. I think she's like the coach of the New York Knicks or some crazy shit like that. But yeah, she
coaches Joanna Man.
Well, here's the thing. Back in the 90s, that's still when movies were original, where we're not on like reboots and, everything else. So that's a whole nother tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, Steve Rash is the director of this. And I know I have. If anybody liked the way I did The Sandlot, I guess, this is the way this one's going down. So the movie starts off with Rebecca Warner moves from her small town in South Dakota to attend college in Los Angeles at California State University, Northridge. And before I even get off on this real fast, I just said Sandlot, and this is our second movie with Patrick Renna in it, which is her little brother named Zach in the movie, which I thought we talked in the past about how all of our things that we ever cover somehow connect to other ones. I feel like there's a weird connection that's going to happen in this one as well. So you get your scene where her dad, Walter, which is played by Lane Smith, which is, everybody knows who he is. If you don't, like, it's going to be in the show notes. He played Lois
Perry
and Clark.
White and Lois and Clark.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know who he is, look him up. Great guy. But he's not ready to see her off to school in California. And he mentions to her that the boys are different than they are here. And this is when you pretty much get the whole idea that Rebecca is a virgin. So knowing that she's fixing to go off to college, things are going to get a little wild. So there's a scene where she's making out with her boyfriend, Travis, in the barn. And, she's telling him, slow down. I want it to be right, and then he's like, when's right? She gives him the wait talk.
Before that happened, did you catch what homeboy from the Sandlot was playing at the graduation?
Oh, he's got a Game Boy, like in the whole damn movie.
Yeah, he's pecking around a Game Boy, like a original, old school, like bulky ass gray Game Boy.
Yeah, that's the DMG model, man. I can't remember the exact model, but I know what it is because it's still a popular one. And if anybody's into like newer tech, the Raspberry Pi, there's one that you can put a Raspberry Pi and set one of these new ones and kind of load it up with all the new stuff. That's cool. It is what it is. If you don't know what it's about, send me a link. Send me a question. I'll show you about it. So they're riding off to school, and Zach, Patrick Renna, goes, "Great school, Rebecca. You need a lobotomy to get in here?" And so, starting off, this movie's full of, random one-liners, basically. And there's this scene where they're taking all of Rebecca's stuff up to the dorm room, and they're coming down the hall, and it is party central. And you can just see her parents, that basically come from this farm town, in South Dakota. They're just like, what's going on? Like, what is this place that I'm taking you to? Because it's a co-ed college dorm room that he's going to.
Yeah, and the little brother's got on a shirt that says, seduce me.
Yeah. Yeah, it had 3 words on it, if I'm not mistaken. I had it written down somewhere.
Seduce me, please, I think. Best I remember. It was seduce me something.
And so her room is it just happens to be right across the hall from Resident Advisor. And Zach starts creeping in the roommate's drawers in the dorm room, and he's pulling out lingerie and whatnot. And so the roommate walks in. Her name's Caroline, and Zach's wearing a shirt that says "Seduce me, please," as he's seeing, the roommate Caroline. So, instantly, Rebecca is kind of embarrassed, that her new roommate Caroline sees her little brother, sniffing and playing with her lingerie. I think he has the bra on her head at this time, and her mom and dad are in there just, being, just wild and muck because, they're farm folk up in the big city now.
Yeah, and the dad's freaking out because he can't get the trunk open.
Yeah, because Zach was supposed to bring the key to this trunk. So Walter walks over to the RA's room, which is, like I said, right across the hall, looking for a screwdriver. He knocks on the door and just makes his way in. Here's the thing. If I knock on a door, I'm not just going to open it up these days. I mean, back in the 90s, I guess you could just knock on a door and just, walk right in, no repercussions. These days, you walk in, you're probably going to get shot, get your ass beat, or get the cops called on you type of situation. And this is where you finally get to meet Pauly Shore, a.k.a. Crawl. So Walter goes in and asks for a screwdriver, and Carl responds, "I'm sorry, I'm all out of vodka." And when he said that, dude, the first time, I was just cracking up because I was like, as many times I've been asked for a screwdriver in my life, why have I never said I'm all out of vodka?
It made me think about that fucking screwdriver Smirnoff that I had to fucking chug. Thanks, Taylor.
So Walter responds and mumbles and says, "My daughter has a trunk." And this makes Carl question immediately, asking her if she's hot. And he goes, "Don't worry, I'll keep a special eye on her for you." And this time, Walter just scurries out of there back over to Rebecca's room, talking about how he doesn't like this co-ed mess. At this point, the roommate comes back in and introduces her girlfriend, Lisa. And Lisa's like, I'm leaving. I'll see you next weekend or whatnot. And she gives her this long goodbye kiss. And Rebecca and her family, are just like in awe. But, Zach, Patrick Renna down there is more like, ooh la la type of situation. And it's funny because, in today's movies, you would expect to see, I guess the word's lesbian. Is that the word we're going with now? I don't know the PC term, I don't want to, make the whole world mad at me or whatnot. But, back in the 90s, to see that in a movie, it was kind of, slim to none. So, I mean, they're just showing you this Cali, anything happens out here. And so, basically the family, it's time for them to say goodbye. And she said, Rebecca's saying goodbye to her family, her mom, her dad. And Zach says, "Be sure to give your roommate a big kiss for me in the shower." And I was just like, man, this movie is just killing it, with all these jokes, here and there. And the movie hasn't even really started yet. That's the best part about it.
No, and that's the kid even made a comment when the two girls were kissing, when she was kissing her bye. He was like, "Dad, can I borrow the camera?"
I mean, he's Patrick Renna was a great child actor.
Yeah, I don't know that he's done shit since, but
yeah, I mean, he's the great Gambino. So Crawl's, basically on the mic in the hallway up there in the dorm rooms, and he says no party in the halls from 5 to 6 a.m. without his express permission. So, it's party central. I mean, we already knew this from the scene where literally you get to see a towel get ripped off one of the dudes, walking as soon as the family walks down the hallway. So he starts walking down the hall with a camcorder, and this is it wasn't a VHS. It had to have been like
no, it was a Sony handycam.
Yeah, I think they used the high 8s that were like the small ones that went inside of a VHS.
Yeah, they had the like the conversion VHS.
Yeah, I never had one of those. We never had a camcorder when we were growing up. It was never one of those things that we ever had. I mean, I used to love going to a friend of mine's house. We used to make like Beastie Boys type music videos and stuff, and use like the inverted colors and stuff. That was the only time I got to use a camcorder when we were kids.
My grandparents had that same one that Crawl was using, and that's the one that we would use whenever we would do our backyard wrestling. We would set it up and wrestle on mattresses and the trampoline and stuff.
That's what's up. And so Crawl, he walks into Rebecca's room with a Leatherman tool and opens up her trunk for her. And, she's very standoffish at this point because you get this wild, California dude, and she's just this reserved, farm girl. And he introduces himself and starts guessing her name. And he's like, "Sally, Jesse, Raphael, that's punny, punny, punny." And she responds, and he's already calling her Becca. She says her name's Rebecca. And he's like, "Becca," which, why not? It's short. It is what it is. And she tells him that she's from South Dakota. And so Pauly Shore does this like hillbilly-ish accent. He's like, "Fresh off the farm. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Right across the hall. Hallelujah." And then he tells her that she's inbred. And she's slightly offended about that. And she's like, "Inbred?" And he's like, where your mom is does your brother, and it was hilarious. It's just, at this point she's, a little offended, and she just goes, "I got to go off to orientation." She's literally, pushing Crawl out the, the room, and she's, going on her way. And you end up with her actually calling Travis, her boyfriend, back home on the phone. But as the phone's ringing, he shouts, "Damn it, Tracy." And, she picks up, and, they basically, she's telling him that, she misses him. And he's like, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. So we don't even know who Tracy is yet. But, he obviously said, "Damn it, Tracy." So that means you instantly think in your head, watch this movie, like, he's cheating on her. He's cheating on Becca. It's Travis. And he plays himself off as, a good-looking guy. It's small town, but it is what it is.
Yeah, he's your typical small town, I'm the king of the school jock type character.
Yeah, like his shit doesn't stink. So you get a small pan scene of, the campus where Crawl is just chilling on a bench, hitting on girls outside, where they're passing out these papers. I think it's they don't tell you, but you can hear it over the PA that it's for the Save the Field committee. And Crawl basically just sees Rebecca off in the distance while he's sitting on this desk. But some like freakish dreadlock girl comes up to Crawl and just scares him off, and he just like runs off.
Yeah, it was a really random ass scene.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like the scene didn't even need to be there, but I guess they wanted to show you the school and whatnot. Now it's Q Halloween. You get to see Pauly Shore dressed up as the Chiquita banana lady, basically, walking around. And this is probably one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. Is
the
Brendan
cameo, Fraser. The Encino Man cameo.
Well, here's my thing about it. All right, so you basically Crawl walks into the room and says, "Great costume," and it just happens to be Link, which is Brendan what Brendan Fraser played in Encino Man. But look at it like this, all right? Encino Man was in 92. Son-in-Law is 93. So Encino Man in film world was before Son-in-Law. They were in high school, correct?
Correct.
So getting down the road, I'm going to go off a little bit of a tangent, and I'm going to tell you, we haven't explained this yet, but Pauly Shore, Carl, has been in college for 6 years. How do you not know that he's done so much drugs in his 6 years that he forgot about Link, saw Link in this college room, and there was your lineup for Encino Man 2.
He spent too much time wheezing the juice. Yeah,
he spent too much time wheezing the juice. So that and like I saw that because it had been Brendan Fraser play this role, and it's to the T because, like I said, Crawl's wearing this Chiquita banana lady costume, and there's a frog in the bowl thing on his head, and so Link grabs this frog and starts lighting it on fire with a lighter, and then bites the head off of it. And at that time, that's when you get this distinct moment. The Crawl looks at Link. And this maybe not so much a look of confusion, but like one of those, hey, I know you from somewhere looks. And that's where I wanted to link these two together. I felt like, in the 6 years, Link was this, Stone Age, dude, maybe he doesn't have the greatest memory, And like I said, we mentioned that Crawl has been wheezing the juice too much, so he forgot.
Yeah, he needed what's the other dude's name? Sean Astin.
Yeah.
Needed a Sean Astin cameo in there too.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, is Son-in-Law Encino Man 2 in a point? Does it have, is it a spinoff for it? I'm saying yes. Fight me. So, Rebecca comes down the hall from doing her laundry, which ends up being a complete party in there. And at this point, she looks over at her desk and sees this wooden horse broken. I didn't mention this, but like when she's leaving to go off to college, she grabs a wooden horse from up in her loft bedroom. And this is the one that she took with her. And we'll show you some significance to this later on down in the film. But she grabbed this, this horse, and it's broken, and at this point she's just upset. So she runs out of the room down the hall to the payphones. And Crawl sees her in tail, asking her what's up. She responds, I'm leaving school. He hangs up the phone as she's dialing and says, I'm saving you from a major mistake. He tells her, give him 5 minutes. He heads to her room and turns off the music in the room and tells everybody the party's over. And he's like, let me guess. You miss your mom, your boyfriend, your dog, your brother. She's like, how'd you know? And he pulls out this picture of him from his wallet. And it's Pauly Shore, nerdy as can be, wearing some glasses. And he tells him that it's his freshman picture. And she's like, you were a nerd. And he tells her to sit, and he starts to tell her a little story about how these are supposed to be your best years of your life. He's been there for 6 years and basically majored in almost everything. She tells him, she says, I don't fit in here. And he says, how do you know? You're not even here now. You're still back there. I mean, she's still on the farm. She hasn't even, relaxed yet. She hasn't made it, to California yet. She's still in South Dakota mode.
Yeah, she hasn't allowed herself to be in school, like to participate.
Yeah, she's all school, no play, basically, is what I guess is what he's coming down to saying. So he takes her off campus into the real world, and he takes her shopping. She gets this new outfit. She sees this one lady's hair, and she's like, I want her hair. So they go and literally just cut her hair short. It gets bleached, kind of like Sean Muldowney got his hair bleached from Nerdy Thursday on the Experience Grind, but it's about the same color. I'll go with it. Here's the thing also. She's from South Dakota, right? She's from a farm. In this next scene, they start going rollerblading. And I'm assuming this is her first time rollerblading because I don't think wherever South Dakota that they lived in was a rollerblade store, just and great paved roads in this farm town to go rollerblading. And she's killing it, She's not Mitchell from Airborne good, which is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Hint, 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 down the road maybe one day.
Is it better rollerblader than the Mighty Ducks in D3?
Oh yeah, she was up there. I mean, she could have been, in Team USA, in a heartbeat.
I mean, she probably was training. Isn't Homeboy in the Mighty Ducks the little brother?
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to tie these in together.
Yeah, she brought home those rollerblades, gave them to him, and then he joined Team USA.
Yeah, and then at this point, she's off rollerblading, and they see a tattoo shop, and she's like, Carl, come on, and they go inside the tattoo shop. And sure enough, the tattoo artist is Flea. And I thought that was a great cameo. In the 90s, it was all about cameos. And he's the tattoo artist. And he says, you pick it, I stick it. And she gets this little butterfly tattoo on her ankle.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I can make that joke now while I'm watching the show.
Yeah. So basically, you get another scene where Crawl and Beck are just chilling on the beach, drinking some Coors. And he's checking out babes on the beach, and she's taking the binoculars and checking them out with them. They're at this time, they're besties now, and this is what since Halloween, and we haven't even made Thanksgiving yet. So not even we'll say 20 days. We're gonna go with 20 days is how they've been hanging out for. She's got a new outfit, new hairdo, bleached her hair. They're besties. I mean, they are they're kicking it. Are they even going to class? That's what I'm going with. Yeah. And she starts checking out some huge roided out dude on the beach. I mean, this dude was freaking gigantic. And Crawl's like, keep it on track. Don't forget about Travis type of deal. Micah,
yo,
have you ever been to a mud wrestling event?
I can say with 100% certainty that I have not.
All right, so will this be the first wrestling movie we've done yet?
Yes.
Because this has wrestling in it.
It does.
This has wrestling in it.
yeah, it's the first one that's had any type.
So we're breaking our cherry. This is our first wrestling movie
with Thumper, the bunny wrestler.
Yes, that was something different because this had to have been a topless bar, like a titty bar or strip club, but it was shaped extremely weird. But it's had right there by the DJ booth that said "girls, girls, girls." So Rebecca's ready to go. I guess she's not feeling it. Seeing these chicks in bikinis that they were pretty hot. Wrestling, mud wrestling, which I always thought it was stupid. Jello wrestling, mud wrestling. It's obviously a certain niche for people like that. I've never cared for it. So she gives the DJ some money. I'm guessing it's a 20. And, she enters Crawl as a challenger. And he gets to fight Thumper, which is a plus-size woman dressed as a bunny. And, at this point, Becca's having fun because Crawl is basically, running around like a squealing pig, while Thumper's trying to, tackle him in the ring. So now they're back off in school, and Becca is packing to go home. And somebody was like, "Hey, Becca, you got a phone call," and it ends up being Travis. And he says, "Hey, we have some things to talk about," and they just basically, they tell each other, "I love you," and it's into the phone call.
He says she doesn't.
Yeah. He basically made her say it. He goes, "I love you," or I'm gonna have to recheck that. I want to say that he he said, "I love you."
He said, "I love you," and she goes, "Yeah, me too."
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Have you ever said that? I'm kidding. We're not gonna get there. So she goes back to finish packing and asks Crawl what he's doing for Thanksgiving. He said he's staying in and eating a Hungry Man. I guess they had just come out with a new Thanksgiving one. and she has a better idea, and she invites him to Thanksgiving. And she hops off this plane back into South Dakota. Here's the thing. They drove from South Dakota, to drop her off to college, but she doesn't have a car, so they had to fly back. So there's that farm money getting spent. And she's looking all 90s grunge like to the T. I mean, like I said, this is 93. This is early 90s. I mean, this was the style, And with Pauly Shore, I mean, he was all about that weird, 90s look. Maybe a little too much. And she gets off this plane and starts calling her parents by first name. Walter, Connie, at this point, like that's the rebellious talk. And, this is basically, she puts her parents in like a, what the fuck moment, basically, and then Crawl comes coming off this plane. Warner's the family I never had. And he's saying hi to everyone and tells, Walter, right after you bailed, I popped your daughter's trunk. And I thought this line was so unique and good. I mean, it's like, obviously, we know it means dirty talk, but in 93, I would have never thought this.
Yeah, it was very insinuated.
Yeah. So how old were you in 93?
I would have been 9.
Yeah. See, I was 11. So, this was, never would have caught it. But going back and watching this, it's a very sexual movie. Like, I remember looking at this movie and thinking, Becca was hot, and we haven't even got to the other hottie in this movie,
It was right after that scene was one of my favorite ones where they're driving down the damn road and homeboys are like standing up in the back just singing. Like, that's
Green Acres.
Yeah, that's so 90s to have somebody riding in the back of a pickup truck. Like, you'll never see that happen now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember like, but hey, man, you can't ride in the back of the pickup truck. The cops are going to pull me over.
Yeah, that's
one day.
That's how we used to get around from house to house when we trick-or-treated when I was young.
All right, so not now, but remind me one day or on an intro about when I used to drive my grandparents' S10 to school.
Okay.
I got a great story for that later, but today is not the time for it. So, like we said, Green Acres, he's singing it, having fun in the back of this. I guess you thought, they put him in the back of the truck because, they're like, you're not sitting with us, but he's having the time of his life. And when they get back to the Warner, farm, and Crawl gets assigned to sleep with Zach while he's there. And he sees these chickens. He's like, chickens? I love chickens. And he goes, are they extra crispy or original? And that's probably the most memorable line from this movie, I'd say.
Yeah, there's so many of them though. Like if we were doing a super stuff stolen from the Cape podcasters, the one-liner score would be one out of 1.
Oh yeah, I mean it's hard. So he starts chasing these chickens with his little camcorder, and they run off into a pen, and he gets stopped because there's a bull in there, and his name is Samson. Perfect name for a bull. Perfect.
That's the first time we meet. Or is it Theo? Is that the first time we meet Theo?
Yeah, that's right. When we meet Theo, the farmhand. So, Travis is obviously there. He's happy to see Becca. They run off to the barn for some smoochies because they haven't seen each other, in 3 months. And he literally tries to propose to her in the barn, and she knows what's going down. She acts overwhelmed and doesn't even give him the chance to, get fully down on that knee. And that's when you started noticing, like, hey, like this dude loves this girl, or is he just trying to lock her up, But we, like I said, we mentioned before, he said, when we picked up the phone, he's like, damn it, Tracy. So what's the story coming on this? So now Crawl and Zach are chilling in his room, and Zach does not like Crawl at all. I mean, he's in his personal space. You're a kid. I mean, you don't want anybody sleeping in your room. And I mean, this time we also learned that Zach's very like territorial. He's like, there's 2 rules. Don't touch my stuff, and basically rule 2 is don't touch my stuff.
What brand do you think that computer was that he had in his room?
No, it was probably an old IBM. I mean, they mentioned the model, but I didn't catch it. Like I said, I watched this on VHS. So like hitting pause, rewind, play was very annoying. I'll say that much. I mean, I was like, man, I'm gonna break this VCR, or this tape's gonna split, you know. And I was like, whatever. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but like, you can tell that he's very partial to this computer, though. And Zach's over there just messing around on his computer, and he's stuck on an error command. And Crawl offers a shortcut, and so he goes over there, you know, and types in this command. I forget. It was some really complicated bullshit, is whatever he talked about. You know, basically his whatever was overheating, and
he said he learns moved that subdirectory to a new file, something like he went off on like a super tangent.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go for it because he makes himself look like I said, he went to school for 6 years. I mean, he's majored in almost everything, so obviously computers was part of it. And now, you know, Zach and Crawl, you know, they're hacker buddies. They are happy, you know, they're doing their things. And Rebecca, you know, comes in, you know, makes this little side talk with Zach. And she's talking about, you know, I'll show Dad where your Playboy collection. And he goes, I'll tell, you know, Dad, about your tattoo. And as Crawl is asking Zach about his Playboy collection, he goes, I'm a subscriber. And I was like, this kid is amazing, though, for 93. I mean, I'm just like, some of these lines, all these, I mean, he's got balls. And so, you know, Becca comes up in Zach's room, you know, after Zach left for a minute so she could have a talk with Crawl. And she's saying, hey, you know, Travis is going to propose to me. And she's obviously not ready. So Crawl starts telling Becca that he needs to be more rustic. He needs some more of this country or style. So they go off into town to get some rustic wear. And after they pull up, going into the store, Crawl sees these town peoples, and he looks at them and goes, inbreeders, and just walks off. And I was like, there we go. 2 times this inbreed talk. And I was like, you're killing it, man. You're killing it. And so they go into this shopping, you know, mall place, whatever. And that's where Becca runs into Tracy, which is the one and only Tiffani Thiessen.
Yeah, back when she was still as attractive as Kelly Pulowski, or whatever her name was on Saved by the Bell.
Kelly Kapowski.
Kelly Kapowski.
Yeah.
What did I say? Pulowski?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Who are you? Like, you've ever watched Saved by the Bell? I mean, Zach's, you know, probably wondering what happened to Kelly after, you know, high school.
Yeah. She moved to the Dakotas.
Yeah. She moved to South Dakota to become a bartender or a waitress or whatever at the bar. You know, 'cause she says, hey, you know, come see me at the bar sometime. You know, and this is when we finally learned this is who Travis was talking about on the phone. And we get a new scene where there's obviously a big family dinner at a restaurant. And Crawl comes in wearing these really short jean shorts and some loud-esque cowboy type of gear. And Walter refers to Crawl as crap. And they're like, Crawl. You know, I think this is the second time he's said his name wrong multiple times in the movie. It's a great, you know, little gesture every once in a while.
Yeah, it's like a running gag, the whole thing.
Yeah. And he asks him, he goes, how'd you get that name? And he goes, that's how I always got home his freshman year, as he crawled.
It's fucking stupid.
So, hey, I remember in my drinking days, like, getting dropped off and crawling down the hallway. And I was so wasted. And I remember having a brand new pack of Camel cigarettes. And after I crawled to the couch, I took them all out and named all 20 of those cigarettes, name by name, and told them that I was not going to smoke them, you know. So I guess at one point I was a Crawl as well. So Travis stands up for a toast and asks Rebecca to marry him. And she kicks Crawl so he can help. And he says that last week he asked her to marry him, and she said yes. And so Travis scurries out of this room, and Becca's, you know, following him to explain. Crawl comes in the mix, and Travis just nails him right in the nose. And Crawl is just laying down, just like being a wuss, like making probably the most annoying, like, somebody hit me in the nose, you know, noise I could ever hear in my life.
Well, why did you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, so at this time, everybody's in arms, you know. Becca and Crawls, you know, are going to continue on with this lie. I mean, they have to, basically. So they're just chilling back at the house. Theo walks up while Crawl's just hanging, and he goes, drinking a Miller. Shouldn't you be drinking a Miller Lite? And I was like, man, that's a fat joke, but it was a good one. I mean, we've all heard it in our times, but, you know, like, oh, you're drinking a Coors? You should be drinking a Coors Light, boy.
That fucking Theo guy's fucking giving me the fucking heebie-jeebies the whole time.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's the farmhand. He's the big old Bubba. I mean, he's the big boy. And, at this time, nobody likes Crawl because, obviously, in their minds, he's engaged to Becca. So Connie, Becca's mom, and Becca have this fight over the marriage. Walter starts questioning Crawl on how he's going to support his daughter. And he said that he's going to do the 9 to 5. And Walter and Theo likes the sound of that. They're like, they tell Crawl, well, we're going to get started bright and early in the morning, and all you hear is cock-a-doodle-doo. So Crawl's passed out in Zach's room, and then Theo wakes him up, rise and shine. And literally, here comes the shit. I mean, Theo is out there on the farm and pushes him right down in the cow shit. Was it cow shit?
See, I would beat somebody's ass over that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you throw me in shit like I'm throwing some punches, because I mean that's fucking gross. I mean, it is what it is. In the movies, it didn't look that bad, but I mean it's gross. You ever walked by the zoo and smelled that pile of shit? That's what it smells like on a farm.
Oh yeah. Whenever my grandfather owned a farm, that's fucking disgusting.
And so Theo's putting this dude to work. I mean, he's feeding the hogs, throwing feed, makes him start the tractor and all that stuff, and he tricks him into putting this tractor in reverse, which is actually forward. And Crawl's running over a fence. I mean, he's just causing havoc. I mean, it's not even lunchtime yet. I mean, he has probably destroyed thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Well, now it's time for Crawl to milk a cow. Mike, have you ever milked a cow?
That's a negative. I've castrated a cow, but I've never milked one.
No, I've never milked one either. A lot of my dad's side of the family, they lived off in West Helena, Arkansas, and there was a lot of farmland out there. And I remember they had pigs and chickens. And small quick tangent. I know this is already a long episode. I can already feel it in my heart. Every movie episode that I do, this these full synopsis plots, are going to go like this. But I remember my grandpa gave me a pistol one time and said, "Hey man, go shoot some cans." And I lined these cans up right next to the chicken coop, not thinking any better. And I can't tell you how many chickens I accidentally shot through that wall. I mean, it's a perfect skit. I mean, it really is. And I feel bad because he had a bunch of old classic cars out there. There's probably some old Mustangs. I remember there's a Pontiac GTO that I know I shot up, which I would love to go on out there and get. I mean, these are cars that I could fix back up and make shitloads of money over. But like I said, at this time, it's time for him to milk a cow. And Crawls over there sweet talking this, this is good old Bessie, and he goes to grab one of the teats off the udder, and she pees all over him. I mean, think of that. He's already fallen in shit, and now he's had a cow piss on him. At this point, I'm over. I'd be packing my shit up and going back to California. It is what it is,
Yup.
So, like I said, it's only lunchtime now, and it's only the first day. And he basically just tells, Walter that he hasn't found his groove yet. They really thought they were running him off by now. But, hey, he makes this statement that he's a farmer now, And there's all this banter that happens at lunch, about respect, and a fight ensues, and Crawl just calms it down, being the dude that he is, And he gives them a speech on how good they are, and he's the issue. And this point, he's like, fuck it, I'm leaving, but he's kind of doing the walk off and turn around, looking saying, hey, stay type of situation. But then Becca says, she's going to go also. And that's when Walter, the dad, agrees, they've got a little out of control and insists that he must stay. And back to work they goes. Old Mick Walter had a farm, is what Crawl's singing as he walks off, to finish the day. So Zach goes with Crawls and teaches him how to milk this cow. And basically you just start at the top and work your way down. And all I could think about was masturbation when he talked about this. I mean, he literally, it was awkward, but the way he described it, he's like, you just start at the top and work your way down. I was like, this is a little sexual innuendo, I think, again,
Yeah.
At this time, Crawl is starting to get the hang of it, He fixes everything that he broke earlier. He fixes the fence, He starts feeding the cows in fashion. He straps the feed to his back and slices these 2 holes inside of the bag and starts rollerblading between the troughs and just starts filling them up. Pretty genius scene, for what it is. Yeah, as random as this movie is, I just thought that was a well-executed scene. And at this time, Theo sees Crawl feeding these pigs again, and he tries fucking with them one more time. Well, he lets this big old hog out, and Crawl mounts that motherfucker and rides it all the way down the whatever the side of that fence line is to the pig pen. And Crawl's out there shoveling the shit, and he's done. He sees this tarp over this big red shiny piece of farm equipment, and climbs inside and crawls inside of it. Really,
It's
funny, right?
a combine.
Yeah, it's a combine. Like I had to Google the make and model to actually figure out exactly what it was. I knew it was a big tractor like equipment. I just didn't know what a combine actually looked like.
I used to drive one of those.
Nice. I see them. When I lived out in Arkansas, I'd see them. Out late at night. In the dusk. With the big lights on, still doing their thing. And so he finds this John Denver cassette tape and puts it in the cassette, the tape player, but it doesn't turn on. So he cranks up the combine with the tarp still covering it. Walter, sees Crawl driving around in this $250,000 machine. And then Theo goes, well, not anymore, it ain't. And
we get another good soundtrack song playing while he's doing it.
Oh, yeah. And you get Crawl driving around the cornfield thinking that he's doing a good job. And, then Crawl sees Theo and he starts chasing him down, say he's going to plow him. And I was like, another sexual innuendo right there, even though you are going to plow with the combine, So it is, it fits hand in hand. But this time, Crawl's written his whole name in cursive in the cornfield.
And the whole time I'm belting out, thank God I'm a country boy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. And you get the scene of what looks to be Becca bent over in the bathroom. And Crawl creeps behind her and hugs her, which it's not Becca. It's actually Connie, her mom. And she's a little in shock. Obviously, if you're a woman in the bathroom, and your daughter's fiance comes up and hugs you, you're going to be in shock. So he asks her, why does she not really just appreciate herself? Why don't you put on some makeup and enhance her outer beauty with her inner beauty? He's checking her out in the bathroom while she's just in a towel, and she's getting a little embarrassed, over, his excitement. And he goes, let me give you a quick makeover. Walter's yelling downstairs for everybody to hurry up as they're going to be late. So Walter and Becca downstairs have a little heart to heart, basically, saying, I'm sorry, type of situation, while Crawl is still upstairs working on Connie. And they're going to end up meeting at this saloon bar where everybody's, boot scooting, boogieing and shit. And Crawl brings Connie in. And it's basically, you can almost say the music stopped as Connie walked in. Like Walter looks at her and his eyes, light up like she literally is the light of his life, and his jaw drops to the floor, basically, that's his flame walking in. And she walks up to him and he goes, I think I like it. I like it a lot, he says. So obviously you can tell Walter, what Crawl has done to Connie has made the heat turn up, for those two.
Yeah, and that one, she has some random guy come up and ask her to dance, and he's like, hell no.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, she's a good-looking mom, and like in that scene, obviously you're like looking, as a kid, you're looking like, is this towel gonna fall off? Be like, oh, I gotta remember it's only a PG-13 movie, And so at this boot scooting boogie saloon, whatever you want to call the place, Travis is there, and he comes by to apologize to Crawl and says, hey, man, I want to make it up for you by throwing you a bachelor party tomorrow. And then you see Travis everybody's, obviously the whole town in South Dakota is at this little barn because Tracy's over there, and Travis asks her for a favor, and she's like, right now? And he's like, no, tonight, I'll ask you tonight. And Crawl starts working this crowd at the saloon because the lead singer for this band walks off, and he just goes over there and grabs the mic.
Yeah, he starts freestyling like he's Eminem.
Yeah, he starts freestyling, and then he starts crowd surfing. And he tells the old man, which was the lead singer, after, he tried to kick him off stage, to go ahead and do it. And dude tries to crowd surf and just nails the ground. But then, of course, he just springboards back up, and everybody's, having a good time. Probably could have done without this whole scene of the whole movie right there.
Yeah, the whole freestyle crowd surf.
Yeah, it was good. They had to make the runtime, so it is what it is. So they all end up back home, and Walter and Connie, they scurry upstairs to knock boots.
Yeah, he pushes the two fucking single beds together.
I mean, I remember my grandparents, they used to sleep in single beds, so I mean, that's I guess the thing you used to do after you courted your lady, and had your kids, you sleep in separate beds.
I guess.
So, I mean, and you almost get the moment where Crawl and Becca almost have this kiss outside, but, Pappy, is like, don't mind me.
Damn Pappy and his fucking woodland.
Yeah, and, Crawl sits next to him, and he's like, can I whittle with you? And grabs this, like, huge log, he's talking about how he took woodworking. So that's one thing we never got to see was what he whittled. Where's the director's cut that I never got for that?
I'm sure it was something sexually innuendoed.
Yeah, it was probably a horse with a fucking giant dong. Or it could have been a weasel.
Or a, what's the slurping machine?
And so the next scene we really get is, I'd say, the heart-to-heart moments really start happening in this movie, because Walter is fixing to have a fishing trip with his dad, and Carl obviously wanted to join, and Zach was like, "No, I'm just going to sit here and play on my Game Boy." I think he was playing tennis at the time, is what him and Becca talked about when they were sitting there, because she was watching them play Game Boy for a minute in that scene. And I kept looking at the Game Boy because it's in mint condition. I mean, it's 93. They probably literally went out and bought a brand new Game Boy just for this, movie.
Yeah, it was solid.
Yeah. So Walter and his dad are out there, fishing, and they're having an argument. And his dad, says, I'm gonna go fish over here, and ends up kind of just like passing out in the field. And you get Crawl running over there to try to help him, and he's fixing to administer CPR. And right as soon as he's fixing to do that mouth to mouth, Pappy wakes up and is like, basically he'd rather die than have, Crawl do CPR on him.
But he majored in CPR too in his 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, this dude, I don't know what he hasn't majored in. That's what I'm really curious about. So at this point, after the little heart-to-heart, Crawl starts to feel a little guilt over the whole fake engagement thing. And goes, and tells Becca that, he can't hide it anymore. One of them has to tell, and Becca says, I'll reveal the truth, basically, And you kind of find Crawl in like this little blah moment for a moment. I mean, he's depressed. I mean, he's feeling, I guess, guilt. And he finds, Theo, and you ask him, you ever picked out your own turkey for Thanksgiving? And then Crawl responds, yeah, Stouffer's, Swanson's, and Butterball. And dude, I was dying laughing when he said that. And Theo goes, this ain't no supermarket, boy, and hands him a meat cleaver, and they walk right over to the turkey cage. And he tells him to chop that turkey's head off. And so that's when Crawl gets in the cage and does the infamous Pauly Shore howl that he does. And he basically gives this turkey a heart attack. And Walter and Theo tell him, since you killed it, you got to clean it. And Crawl goes to pluck a feather, and it wakes that turkey the fuck up, and it is flying around that kitchen, and it is... Everybody's just trying to chase it. It's nonsense. And this time you get a car pulling up. Honk, honk. It's Travis. He's there to pick up Crawl. So Crawl's like, peace out, I'm out. It's bachelor party time. Y'all deal with this turkey. You get this bar scene where Crawl is just throwing back some pints. And then you see Theo pouring Crawl another beer. And Travis slides over some roofies, rohypnol, the date rape drug, however you really want to call it. It's not been, they don't ever let you know the name, but I think this is when I finally learned, that this is what rohypnol is.
And
I shouldn't know what it is.
He put so many
Multiple.
in there, like,
yeah,
he would, like, that would have killed homeboy.
Oh, probably. I don't know what the actual dosage is, but yeah, it was a very sloppy amount. And Crawl's drunk at this time. We all know. They literally, he just the pint that he had with the roofies in it, he just downs it like it's nothing, And so they give Crawl a toast. He downs that spiked beer. Like I said, he's drunk. He goes up to sing, and I can't remember the exact song, but it's got some country boy lyrics to it. And that's when Tracy, Tiffani Thiessen, comes in and pulls the plug, and says, you ready for some real entertainment? And she starts becoming the life of the party. She starts stripping in front of Crawl, and he's seeing double by this point and just passes out. Well, Travis brings her a beer, and she drinks it as the crowd cheers, like, drink, drink, drink. And that's the end of that scene. And then you wake up, basically it's the next morning. Theo's in the kitchen making himself a coffee and makes, mention to the family, where's Crawl? And, Zach tells everybody he didn't come home last night. But Theo goes, you might want to check the bar. And there was a bunch of huffing and puffing out there last night. And you get some music. It's a little dramatic. Or, when you hear music like this in a film, there's something going on. So Becca is coming to check on Crawl out, in the barn. And she comes to find him passed out with Tracy as they both wake up with like this headache. And Becca runs off. And Crawl is just chasing after her, and he follows her up to her room, which is a loft. And he tries explaining, what happened last night. And Becca's not having it. She says, she felt sorry for him. That's the only reason she invited him to Thanksgiving, She gives him the ring back, and, they break up in the movie. Tracy walks back to her car, like a walk of shame type of fashion. But, obviously she's not feeling well. And as she's walking back to her car, Travis is pulling up. How convenient, right? And asks her, what are you doing here? And she asked Travis, what happened last night? He goes, well, that was all, she was all over Crawl last night, and basically makes her feel bad over the situation because, she can't remember nothing. So Crawl's now packing his shit up, ready to go home, and Travis is chasing Becca around, asking, what happened, but boy, what the fuck happened, and he can obviously tell she's in distress. And Tracy's driving home, and she checks her center console only to find the rohypnol pills. And so she yanks this wicked, U-turn. I'm giving it for you. Like, it was a good U-turn if it was really hurt. We'll say that much. And she starts, bawling back to the Warners. And she sees Crawl on the side of the road, and she picks him up and, basically tells him the story. And Travis is still there to the Warners and making, this Thanksgiving toast. And he's still trying to propose. I mean, this is like minutes after, that, or, we'll say an hour, after the whole thing went down, there are other proposals officers like, hey, she's single. I'm going to do it again, And then Crawl walks in and he goes, don't even think of it, man. And, Tracy reveals, to everybody that she woke up in the barn with Crawl. And the reason why is that she found these pills in her car and that her seat was all the way back. And when she got in it this morning, and stuff. And then everybody looks over, to Theo, and she's like, Walter goes, Theo, he starts hounding over the situation. He tries to explain that it was supposed to be a joke. And everyone is happy that, basically Crawl and Tracy didn't bone, it's like, we didn't bone. And then Becca's like, yeah, y'all didn't bone. So, everybody's happy.
Yeah. So you didn't bone? So we didn't bone?
You didn't bone? Yeah. So I thought it was funny, and this is when, that everybody is team Crawl, because Travis is like, talking this shit, and Pappy stops him before he can say anything. And he goes, it really tweaks my melons to see a buff bro like Crawl get wheezed by a greasy scumbag like you. So you just chill. And this is the old man saying this, I was like, man, this is fucking killing me, just seeing how many times they have to make him, do this outtake. Because when he says scumbag, I mean, he says it like in a long, drawn out way. And Crawl gives Travis a little 1, 2, 3, as he knocks him the fuck out right there in front of everybody. And because he was getting a little hostile, I guess, with Becca at the most point. Walter then fires Theo, and then Connie, the mom, invites Tracy over to Thanksgiving. I mean, hell, now that Theo's out of the, the picture, there's a lot of food left over on this table. So, and there's open seats. So, why not offer Tracy over,
Yeah, she's got a killer roofie hangover she needs to eat to cure.
Yeah, you need some iron in your body now so you didn't get a bone. So, Becca at this point stands up and reveals to the family that they weren't engaged. But before she can get it all out of her mouth, Crawl's like, yo, we're just talking about postponing, And at this time, Walter's okay with it. And he goes, let's chow down here and munch on some grindings. Into the movie, credits. And that's your Thanksgiving movie there, folks.
That is a Pauly Shore classic.
Like, and here's the thing. Like, after I rewatched this movie and took it note for note, and I will say this about every movie that we've done in our short time of a podcast. Every movie we've done, I appreciate more and more because we're able to break it down, and I give a lot of thanks to that to, Dave and Brian over there, the Cape Podcasters, the way they do stuff. They break down films and make you appreciate stuff more. Just like how when we did 13 Ghosts, I walked into it not appreciating it. And when he broke it down film-wise, I understood it more, And like how I turned this into having a spinoff from Encino Man, you know, following these small little things, you know, you seem to enjoy it a lot better than you thought you ever would originally.
So, do you think that Tiffani Amber Thiessen was in South Dakota as a spinoff of Saved by the Bell, and you could tie that into Encino Man?
Well, do we totally count the Saved by the Bell after years? Do we cancel that 100%?
Oh, I forgot about the college years. That was awful.
Yeah, so I mean, we can't use that as our multiverse that we're trying to create here. But I know where you're going. I know where you're getting at. But at least the Encino Man and Son-in-Law one work hand in hand.
Yeah, it does for sure. Do you want to? Do you have anything else you want to talk about with the movie? Do you want to go ahead and jump into our ratings?
I did have a little couple things. Let me see here if I can find it real quick. I feel bad for not I had all this stuff pulled up, and now I feel bad about it.
I appreciated a lot of the one-liners rewatching it this time versus the last time I've seen it.
I really appreciated this movie more than I thought I would. Like I mentioned Son-in-Law in a group, you know, telling people to call in for, you know, voicemails, which I didn't get any, but everybody says how much they love this movie. And, you know, like Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a score of 21% based on reviews from 19 critics. I know Siskel and Ebert despise this movie. I mean, they're not going to like these type of comedies regardless, you know. I think it's really like people do mention that it's a comedy version of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where the lead character is a generally destructive jerk. But it's a bright, feel-good movie. I mean, for what it is, in 93, this is what you got. And I know MTV ran a contest on this to marry Pauly Shore in Las Vegas. And there was a lady by the name of Tanya Sinati of Salisbury, Massachusetts, who won the honor and the wedding. It was set for July 2nd of 93, which the movie released on July 2nd. So they never really got married, obviously, but there was a ceremony. But the best part about this movie is technically a Disney movie.
You're gonna have to explain that one.
So Hollywood Pictures is a subsidiary of Disney. So I'm waiting for this to show up on Disney Plus. So basically, after Encino Man, Disney had the option of 2 more films with Pauly Shore, which was, really Hollywood Pictures back then. And they said Shore was considered a project with New Line Cinema, but was persuaded by the Disney chairman, Jeffrey Katzenberg, to stay with them and make Son-in-Law. So technically, this is a Disney film. How you like them apples?
Does that make Becca a princess, a Disney princess?
Well, does that make Pauly Shore a prince?
Or Crawl? Would Crawl be a crossplay as a Chiquita Banana Princess?
Well, here's the thing. Technically, Pauly Shore is in a Disney multiverse because he plays Robert Zimuruski on the Goofy movies. The stoner dude with like the wild hair.
The Leaning Tower of Cheeza.
Yeah, that's Pauly Shore, man. So, I mean, he's all up in this, the Disney multiverses. So, I mean, there you go, bruh.
That checks out.
Yeah, checks out. Facts. So, Micah, let's get down to the ratings. That's how we do this. Micah, so if you were to put this movie in your collection on your 3-tier or more, since we have the top, the middle, the lower shelf, the basket, or like you like to call it, the underneath the shelf, or your magical glass case, where are you putting this film in all of its glory?
I'm gonna go middle shelf, just for the simple fact that Pauly Shore's like his 90s movies, like Encino Man and this one and Biodome, like they're all shit that I can always just turn on. Like if it's on fucking TBS or TNT or FX or one of those channels, like it seems like it's always on a cable channel somewhere. Like you can always throw it on and have it run into the background and come in and out and pick it up at any point that it's on and know exactly what's going on. And there's so many one-liners in this movie. excuse me, there's so many one-liners in this movie that still are still funny, and then going back in, and a lot of like the innuendos that you don't pick up on when you're younger that are funnier now. So yeah, middle shelf for sure. I would watch again. What about you? What shelf are you going with?
I'm in 100% agreement with you on this middle shelf. And some of our listeners, and viewers on Facebook saw me, even on Twitter, that I own this on VHS. I went out and purchased a brand new copy just for this. What's the likeliness of that even? So this movie is extremely enjoyable. I mentioned, Encino Man, Biodome, In the Army Now, those movies. Ultimately, this is my favorite out of all of them. Encino Man, don't get me wrong, it's a great flick, but it doesn't have the enjoyability a Son-in-Law does as Wholehearted movie. I mean, it's got there's more rocking, stuff to that one, but I mean, Son-in-Law's good. And like I said, we picked it for Thanksgiving. I mean, this literally has Thanksgiving gravy all over it.
Yeah, that's their entire build to the first third of the movie is getting to Thanksgiving.
Oh, I mean, even though there's many, issues like, when he's out on that combine in the cornfield at Thanksgiving, that crop's gonna be done. They've already got all that corn. It's not even supposed to be there. So there's small issues, but that it is what it's film. I mean, they gotta do what they gotta do. I mean, they would have never had that great scene with him, writing his name in cursive.
Yeah, that was thank God I'm a country boy.
Yep. Well, other than that, man, I mean, if y'all like this movie, let us know on somewhere on the interwebs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is From the Top Rope with Micah.
So if you're new to the show, we've got this segment that we always discuss wrestling. But the one thing that I'm not going to dwell on too much with the wrestling talk, because we're going to kind of tangent off on it. We created a group on Facebook, and where we're having a lot of the same discussions that I talk about. Just if you want to join there, it's called From the Top Rope. It's a digital. Hang on, I'll give you the exact name. Sorry, I should have had it pulled up.
Oh, it's all good. Well, the best thing about it is by the time you watch something wrestling, you're ready to talk about it immediately.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the time we pull out another episode, unfortunately, it's old news. Unless you're watching, unless we're watching the future and have the sports almanac from Back to the Future, like I said, it's old news. So if you want live, up to date action, you gotta get up on that Facebook group.
It's called From the Top Rope, a digital cartridge podcast wrestling community. And it is linked to our actual digital cartridge podcast page, so you can go in and find it from there. But we're constantly in there talking about the shows. I post spoiler threads to where you can go in and chat and everything. But I'm going to kind of phase out this segment. And then we've talked about, we're still kind of kicking around the idea of having like one wrestling episode. So that may come to fruition at some point, but yeah, not a whole lot to talk about with wrestling. There was Survivor Series and NXT War Games was last night and tonight. So if you want to talk about that, there's posts on that group. So jump in there and hit us up.
Yeah, but by the time you listen to it, it's already old news. See?
Yup. So
I mean, it is what it is.
Facebook's going to be where Daddy is.
I feel like I need the Undertaker's music in the background for that whole little speech.
Bong.
As long as we don't get the pallbearer out here, acting all crazy, we're good. We good.
So I guess we can jump into the outro and start getting the fuck out of here.
I guess what I'll still do, just to be cool about the wrestling thing, in every show note, I guess I'll leave a hidden link for our This Day in History. I know I'll pull one up just, to finish off. Because like I said, maybe there's some change coming in 2020, It is what it is. But I picked the WCW World War III in 1995. And obviously, the World War, has the Battle Royale. And it was Randy Savage defeated 60 other people or 59 other people. So it is what it is. But I think possibly the the pick that I chose for this whole match was Sting defeated Ric Flair. There was no title changes, but I mean, it was a nice 14-minute, match. So, I mean, if I can pull that one up, we're definitely going to try to put a link for that one.
So if this is your first time listening, thanks for finding us. Thanks for listening to the episode. Thanks for not turning us off 20 minutes in whenever we ramble on other stuff instead of getting to the main topic. You can find more of our episodes at digitalcartridgepodcast.com. We do have links there at the top of the page to all of our social media. You can go in, you can buy t-shirts, and you can also get our Patreon page from there. There is some exclusive content on the Patreon page, including videos of both Sean and myself eating the Packy One Chip, doing the Packy One Chip challenge.
Yeah, one of us lives, one of us dies. The only way to know is to find out there.
You can always call us and leave us a voicemail when we have voicemails, which we don't have voicemails, but when we have voicemails, we listen to those after the outro music plays out and respond to them in real time. If you want to call and ask for sex advice, I'll be sure to tell you where to stick it. But that number is 470-DIGITAL. That's 470-344. Oh, my screen just went off. 470-344-4825.
I'm just gonna get you a bumper, mates. You don't have to say that. We'll just call it a day. Maybe, like I said, change in 2020. Easy outros. That's what we're looking for. No.
We want to go ahead and tell everybody what we're going to be doing for our next episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've been listening to us, I know we've kind of picked up a theme for the months. We're every other week podcast. It is what it is. We have very busy lives. I mean, you've got kids, I've got cats and dogs to take care of. It is what it is. We're gonna do Donkey Kong Country 3, and the reason we picked this one is you can type in the word Merry and play this in a full Christmas theme. And if you listen back earlier in this episode, I talked about Micah's the completionist, Sean's the cheat. I found a cheat code or a mod, we'll say that much, to enjoy it. I wanted to pick something different than a lot of, I think, our other podcast friends have not done. I know they haven't probably played it only in this mode, but you know what? We're taking the reins on this one. No, all love to everybody else, but I just didn't want to be like, oh man, they've already done this episode for Christmas, type of, or if they've done this episode just in general. So I was like, let me pull out a little something random out of my sack.
Out of Santa's sack.
Yeah, or would that be Lucha Claus's sack, since I play that role in a different group, playing a Secret Santa? I don't know. It is what it is. But, Micah, do you want to kind of maybe just put a little hint? Should we give them a hint to what our other episode in December will be, which will be the last episode of this season?
We are going to give you a special Christmas present brought to you by Sean and Micah. And the only way you're going to find out what you're getting is to join our Facebook page.
I'm sure I'll communicate a little bit on Twitter, but basically we're going to do the Listener's Choice Awards. We're going to pull up, hey, what do you want us to cover for the last episode, and we're going to compile all that and do a giant poll. And, whatever wins, and that'll be our episode. I mean, obviously, we're not going to cover porn for you, or whatnot. So, Caleb, I'm sorry. It is what it is. You don't get to listen to us, talk about Debbie Does Dallas for an hour and a half or whatnot. But we're going to do our final episode as a gift to you. We're not picking, you're picking. So, whatever, the listeners want to do, that's what we're going to work on. And possibly, even if you have a special guest host you want back, we'll maybe even beg that guest host if they have it in their time frame to make it back. I can't make promises on that, but we can promise that we're going to cover what you want us to cover.
And I can promise that I'm going to shit all over it if somebody says to cover Super Mario Brothers 2 again.
No, we're not going to do anything we did cover once before, but I mean, we're going to have fun with it.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here. It's way past my bedtime.
Yeah, and as always, be kind. Please rewind.
Bye.